guys, so I'm going to read the second chapter of Humphrey's oh my goodness, I can't say that title correctly. Humphrey's Really Wheelie Racing Day. Written by Betty G. Burney, illustrated by Priscilla Burris. So we're going to go on to chapter 2. Zoom, zoom, zoom around the room. When I got back to room 26 on Monday, I told Og about the car right away. There was a car, and it was blue, and I went zoom, 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 I squeaked. Boing, 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 Og jumped up and down in his tank. I'll tell you the rest later, I said. The bell rang and class began. Before our math lesson, Mrs. Brisbane asked Mandy to tell us about her weekend. We had so much fun, Mandy said. I think Humphrey and Winky were happy to see each other. At least they squeaked a lot. All my friends giggled. Stop giggling, Gail laughed the loudest. And Humphrey really loved rolling around in Winky's hamster car, she explained. Car? AJ said in his loud voice. He has a car? Mandy nodded. Yes. It looks like a car, but it has a hamster wheel in the middle. Humphrey loved it as much as Winky does. I never saw a hamster car, Pay Attention Art said. That's Mandy there. That's AJ, and that's Pay Attention Art. Either, Heidi added. Well, Humphrey liked it so much that I brought it with me to school, Mandy said. Is it all right to show them, Miss Brisbane? Mrs. Brisbane smiled. Of course, Mandy. I would like to see it too. Mandy reached in her backpack, and there it was, the little blue car. Ooh, my classmates said. Ah, Mrs. Brisbane said. Why don't you show us how it works? Mandy gently took me out of my cage and put me in the racing car. She set the car on the floor, and I began to spin the wheel. Go, Humphrey, go! Richie shouted as I rolled the car between the students' tables. I spun the wheel a little faster. Faster, Humphrey, faster! I heard AJ shout. Boing, boing, boing! Og yelled as he splashed in the water side of his tank. My friends all stood up to watch me, so I spun even faster. Uh-oh, wait for the bell, Garth's foot is in the aisle. There was no way for me to stop the car, and I didn't have a steering wheel. I leaned to the right and the car barely missed his foot. I hope he doesn't lose control, Mrs. Brisbane said. It wasn't easy, but I kept the car going without rolling into something. Humphrey! 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 My classmates chanted. And there he is, rolling between their legs and feet there. All their cheering made me spin faster. Before I knew it, my car rolled up against the leg of Mrs. Brisbane's desk. The car bounced backward, went into a spin, and suddenly stopped like that. Mrs. Brisbane stopped the car with her foot. Humphrey, I think you need a rest, she said. I had to admit she was right. Mrs. Brisbane put me in my cage. I can see that Humphrey had a great time at your house, she told Mandy. Yes, Mandy replied. I put Humphrey in his hamster ball and Winky in the car, and they raced each other, she said. But I think Humphrey would like his own car. Then they could have a real race. A hamster race, Garth said. I'd like to see that. Humphrey should have his own car, Golden Miranda said. That's right, AJ said in that loud voice of his. They could race, and I know Humphrey Dumpty would win. I know. I like the funny nickname AJ calls me. Thanks, I squeaked. Boing, boing, Og said. When I looked around, all my classmates were smiling. Winky might win. He knows how to make his car go really fast, Mandy said. But the car costs a lot of money. I got Winky's car for my birthday. So there they all are, Humphrey and his classmates. Money. Sometimes I forget about human things like money. My friends weren't smiling anymore. Maybe we can find a way. Let me think about it, Mrs. Brisbane said. Now it's time to start math. It wasn't easy for me to think about math after all that excitement. When Mrs. Brisbane wrote an 8 on the board, it looked like a racetrack with fun twists and turns. While my friends studied science, Mrs. Brisbane put me in the car and let me roll around room 26. Whenever I got close to a wall, a classmate would turn the car around. It was fun, but not as much fun as being in my own car and racing Winky would be. Mandy got her car back at the end of the day. I'm sure Winky will want this, Mrs. Brisbane said. Yes, Mandy said, but I hope Humphrey gets a car too. Yes, 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 I squeaked. Boing, boing, boing. Og took a big leap into the water side of his tank. Mandy giggled. I forgot about Og. I wonder if they have frog cars. Now that would be funny, Mrs. Brisbane said with a smile. Later that evening, Og and I were alone. I opened the lock that doesn't lock on my side. I opened the lock that doesn't lock on my cage and walked over to Og's tank. Do you want to be in a race? I asked. Boing. Og didn't sound very sure. Well, I do, I said. And if there's a car for hamsters, there should be a car for frogs too. Boing, boing. Og seemed more interested. I tried to picture Og driving a car with his big webbed feet. I didn't see how he could spin the wheel to make it go. Don't be upset, I told him. I don't have a car either. Og and I were quiet for the rest of the evening. At least I could pretend to have a really wheelie car, even if it wasn't the same all the time. At least I could pretend to have a really wheelie car, even if it wasn't the same at all. And that's the end of chapter 2. So tune in tomorrow and you'll get to hear chapter 3. And we'll see if Humphrey ever gets that really wheelie race car, right? Alright, remember the class rules. Love yourself, love others. I send all my love to y'all. I hope to see y'all very soon. Bye-bye.